The knuckleball is different from any other pitch, from anything else in baseball really, and those who can throw it and throw it well for an entire career are a truly rare breed of ball player. The no-spin offering itself has become a lost art of sorts in a league dominated by fireballers and spin rates. Few today remember the mound magicians of the past like Phil Niekro, Charlie Huff, or Hoyt Wilhelm, but most of us probably still remember a pitcher by the name of Tim Wakefield, who, in his 19 major league seasons, put together a career almost as unpredictable as the pitch that made him famous. When Wakefield began his professional career, he wasn't even a pitcher after all, just a struggling minor league infielder with the Pittsburgh Pirates. In his mid-20s, with his career on the line, Wakefield cracked the code on baseball's most bizarre pitch. He went on to win 200 big league games, 2 World Series championships, and play in some of the most memorable playoff matches in recent history. Tim Wakefield is not a Hall of Famer. He never won a Cy Young Award, and he made just a single All-Star team in 2 decades on the mound. But his career remains one of the most remarkable in the game, and one definitely worth looking more into. Wakefield's father first taught him the knuckleball when he was around 8 years old. His dad worked the early morning shift at an electronics company in Florida, but was an avid softball player and knuckleball enthusiast. At first, Tim said that practicing the pitch was more like a magic trick or party stunt than a serious endeavor. Besides, Tim was a position player, not a hurler, and a decent one at that. He received a few offers to play in college, and wound up at the Florida Institute of Technology, which, while not exactly a baseball powerhouse, still ranks as a D1 program. At Florida Tech, Wakefield played first base and hit 40 home runs, including 22 in one season, enough to draw the eye of some big league scouts. In 1988, he was selected in the 8th round of the draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and sent off to their single-A squad in Watertown, New York. In his first year there, Wakefield struggled, hitting just .189 with 57 strikeouts. He looked overmatched as a hitter, even in single-A ball, and for many at the time, he seemed like he could be more of a product of the crazy juiced metal bat era in that time's college baseball scene than anything of actual significance when it came to real-world potential. He was even told he would never play beyond the AA level. But before we get more into that, I want to take a second to tell you about how you can win an officially signed Ronald Acuna Jr. baseball, courtesy of today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, and their immensely entertaining pick'em system, which allows you to choose between the over or under on a multitude of daily available stats, ranging from strikeouts, hits, pitch count, to their fantasy points. Then you simply select 2 to 5 picks, and if your picks are correct, you can win anywhere from 3 to 20 times your initial entry amount. Or if those stakes are a bit too high for you, you can always go with their insured system, which allows you to get 1 pick incorrect in exchange for a lower multiplier. Now, as for the officially signed Ronald Acuna Jr. baseball giveaway, all you have to do to be eligible to win is go to underdogfantasy.com and sign up with promo code MTC. On top of that, Underdog will double any initial amount deposited up to $100. The link will be both in the description and pinned comment below. Again, that's promo code MTC at underdog.com to be eligible to win an officially signed Ronald Acuna Jr. baseball, as well as doubling your initial deposit up to $100. Now, back to our video. Things looked pretty bleak, but one day, his manager watched him fooling around with a knuckleball at practice. He saw how much trouble Wakefield's teammates had even catching the pitch, and their minor but growing annoyance with how weirdly nasty his low-level tosses were. Put simply, the knuckleball is the butterfly of offerings, soft, fluttering, and completely unpredictable. It's the easiest pitch on the arm, but the hardest one to control. The best have almost no spin at all, pushed out by the pitcher's palm and put at the mercy of the air currents around them, tossed this way and that like an airplane caught in turbulence. They can also be infuriatingly difficult to hit for batters. Someone once said that hitting Phil Niekro's knuckleball was like trying to eat jello with chopsticks. Wakefield's innate grasp of the pitch was good enough to get his single-A manager to ask him to split time between the mound and the infield. Equipped with his newfound weapon, he went 1-1 with a 3.40 ERA in his first 18 games on the hill. He also struck out over a batter an inning. As a result, he was invited to the Fall Instructional League as a pitcher. Things were looking up. Wakefield knew that the knuckleball was his ticket to keep playing pro ball, and it was a long shot one at that. When they put an infielder on the mound, he later observed, it's like they're putting you out to pasture. But in Tim's full season with the pitch, it looked like the experiment might not take. He went 10-14 with a 4.73 ERA, walking 4 batters per 9 while giving up 24 home runs. But he got to keep coming to the ballpark, and in 1991, he made it to AA Carolina Mudcats, where he went 15-8 with a 2.90 ERA. His whip and home run rates fell drastically. He was starting to look like an actual pitcher. The following season, he continued to throw well at AAA Buffalo, and was called up to the majors mid-year. Now, at the age of 25, 3 years after having a near-career-death experience as a minor leaguer, Wakefield was in the big leagues as a knuckleballer, and what a start he would end up having. On July 31st, 1992, Tim Wakefield made his major league debut for the Pittsburgh Pirates at Three Rivers Stadium. Wakefield went the distance for his first big league win, throwing 146 pitches in the process, while giving up just 6 hits and striking out 10 helpless Cardinals en route to a 3-2 victory. Both runs were unearned. During this start, he would also throw the first 3 of 146 wild pitches registered in his career. Wakefield continued to pitch well and command the knuckleball in his next 3 starts, and by the end of his 4th, he had allowed just 5 earned runs in total, and was 3-0 with a 1.32 ERA. In August, he threw a 6-hit shutout to beat fellow knuckleballer Tom Candiotti of the Dodgers 2-0. It was the first time 2 knuckleball pitchers had squared off since Phil Niekro had faced his brother Joe in 1982. Overall, Wakefield was downright miraculous, for a rookie surely, but even more so for a rookie with such a unicorn pitch. He didn't give up more than 3 runs in a game for the entire season, finishing 8-1 with a 2.15 ERA and 1.62 ERA+. Despite the late start, he came in 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. But Wakefield wasn't done. In the NLCS, he tossed 2 complete games against the Atlanta Braves, besting Hall of Famer Tom Glavine in both Game 3 and Game 6 of the series. If Barry Bonds had thrown Sid Bream out at the plate in Game 7, the Pirates might have been off to the World Series, and Wakefield likely would have been the NLCS MVP. In his first big league season, Wakefield had managed to tame baseball's most untamable pitch, and catapult himself from minor league afterthought to key playoff hurler. But success is seldom long-lived for the knuckleball pitcher. Even those veterans who manage to harness its power can lose their grip all too quickly. A rookie season like Wakefield's in 1992 would be challenging for any pitcher to duplicate, and for a knuckleballer, nearly impossible. The Pirates named Wakefield their opening day starter and had high hopes for their freakishly good young hurler in 1993. He won that start, but walked 9 batters, a crazy high total, and things just kept getting more challenging from there. Later that month, Wakefield threw 172 pitches in a game in which he would walk another 10 batters. Again, a lot even for a knuckleballer. Whether it was because he had been overextended or not, Wakefield continued to struggle. He would look sharp one outing and awful the next, and his overall performance was a far cry from his rookie season. He went 6-11 with a 5.61 ERA and criminally high 171 WHIP, even being sent down by the Pirates to AA at one point to work out the kinks. He even struggled there, posting a 6.99 ERA. And just like that, Wakefield was starting to look like a flash in the pan. Perhaps 1992 had been a fluke, born of the random nature of his magical offering. He spent most of 1994 in the minors, where he backed up this idea with another horrendous year, tallying an ERA of 5.84 and a 5.15 record. The postseason hero of just 2 years ago was gone, and in his place was a player with roughly the same trajectory as his infielder self from all those seasons ago. The Pirates would go so far as to release Wakefield in early 1995. Wakefield's erratic performance owed a lot to the cruel inconsistency of the knuckleball itself. He once said, "I have no idea where it's going. The hitter doesn't know where it's going, and the catcher doesn't know where it's going. I just try to throw it down the middle of the plate." To regain control of the pitch, Wakefield sought help from his fellow knuckleballers. Charlie Huff and Tom Candiotti both worked with him on how to change speeds with the pitch and pick his spots. Phil Niekro's advice to the struggling Wakefield was more spiritual. He told him, "You've got to eat, sleep, walk, and talk the knuckleball until it floats in your bloodstream like a spirit inside you." But even if Wakefield could again master the difficult pitch, would there be any clubs willing to take another chance on him? Enter Boston GM Dan Duquette. Duquette was looking for a bargain and another arm to eat up some innings for the struggling Red Sox rotation. With no other takers, Wakefield signed for a pittance, but he would get another chance to prove himself, this time once again in the show. The Red Sox even brought on Niekro as a consultant to help their new pitcher. Wakefield got his first start with the Red Sox on May 27, 1995, and lo and behold, after all that spiritual and physical work, the magic had returned. He won his first 4 starts with Boston, including 2 complete games, allowing just 2 earned runs over more than 33 innings. And he kept winning. It was like the summer of 1992 all over again. Wakefield took a no-hitter into the 8th inning twice, and after besting the Orioles on August 13th, Wakefield's record with his new team stood at 14-1, with a microscopic 1.65 ERA. Still, even in the midst of this hot streak, the fickle pitch with which he was making his money would still occasionally abandon Wakefield. In his next start that August, he was so wild that the Mariners took the first 18 pitches, before Mike Blowers launched a grand slam. Wakefield went just 2-7 through the rest of the 1995 season, but still finished 16-8 with a 2.98 ERA and 1.65 ERA+. He finished 3rd in Cy Young voting, and the Red Sox won the AL East. The Wall Street Journal even called it one of the best knuckleball seasons of all time. It appeared that Wakefield and his elusive pitch were back in business, this time in the American League. But in 1996, the Magic again abandoned Wakefield. He managed to avoid a truly abysmal season like before, but still, his 5.14 ERA and 98 ERA plus were nothing to write home about. He had another middling season in 1997, racking up a league-leading 15 losses along with a 4.25 ERA, but at least he was eating more than 200 innings a year for the Red Sox and showing occasional flashes of brilliance. Boston returned to the playoffs in 1998, and Wakefield improved marginally, even if only in record, at 17-8. He faced off against the Indians in the division series though, and got shelled, lasting only 1 1/3 innings while taking the loss. After Red Sox closer Tom Gordon got injured in 1999, the team started using Wakefield as both a starter and relief pitcher, even occasionally slotting him in as closer. It was a hybrid role that would continue for the next 4 seasons. In both 1999 and 2000, Wakefield struggled with his new job, posting ERAs over 5. But in 2001, he brought that number down to a decent 3.90, and then 2.81 in 2002. That year, he again registered an ERA plus over 160, his 3rd such season. How significant is that? Well, for reference, that's one more campaign than future Hall of Famer Zack Greinke has managed to tally so far in his own illustrious career. Wakefield regained his full-time starting job in 2003 and went 11-7 with slightly above average peripherals as the Red Sox returned to the postseason for an epic battle against the rival New York Yankees in the ALCS. Wakefield got the call in Game 1, winning it 5-2, and again in Game 4, which he won again, giving up just 1 run in 7 innings. Game 7 was one for the ages. It started with Pedro Martinez against Roger Clemens. The score was tied after 9 when Red Sox manager Grady Little decided to give the veteran knuckleballer the ball in the 10th. The Yankees went down in order and the game remained tied. Field felt awful, later comparing himself to Bill Buckner, whose error helped cost the Red Sox the 1986 World Series. But Wakefield, unlike Buckner, did not have to wait long for a shot at redemption. In 2004, he shook off a tough regular season going into the playoffs, facing the Yankees again in the ALCS. The Yankees won the first 3 games, including a 19-8 blowout in Game 3. Wakefield had volunteered to forego his start in Game 4 and eat some innings in the blowout, saving other Red Sox arms for what would prove to be an epic come-from-behind series. We all remember what happened next. Dave Roberts and the Red Sox pull out an epic Game 4. Then Game 5 goes to extra innings with the Red Sox facing elimination, and who comes in with the game on the line? Wakefield shuts down the Yankees in the 12th inning, and then the 13th, and then the 14th, surviving 2 pass balls by Jason Varitek, who usually didn't catch Wakefield. And when David Ortiz delivers the game-winning hit for the 2nd straight night in a row, Tim is the winning pitcher. The Red Sox, of course, won the next 2 games and the series, then swept the Cardinals in the World Series to break their 86-year-old curse. Wakefield had redeemed himself for the Boone home run, being an integral part of one of the most iconic championships in baseball history. Tim Wakefield never again reached the same heights as he did during that period. He won 17 games for the Red Sox in 2007 when they won another World Series, but not without tallying an exactly league average 100 ERA plus along the way. And boy, did he have some disastrous playoff outings to end his career, finishing with a career postseason record of 5-7 and an ERA of 6.75. But there were still some bright spots near the end for Wakefield. He made his first All-Star appearance in 2009 at the age of 42, struck out his 2,000th batter in 2010, and won his 200th and final game in 2011. He retired just 6 wins short of the Boston franchise record, a mark he surely would have surpassed had he not accepted that hybrid bullpen role between 1999 and 2002. In the end, he threw 17 seasons for Boston, racking up 3,006 innings along the way, the most in franchise history. Like his own mentors, he has also continued to help other knuckleballers develop their craft, even assisting Stephen Wright on his way to becoming an AL All-Star in 2016 for the Red Sox. Cooperstown never called, and never will. Still, his career numbers remain impressive to this day, especially for a knuckleballer, including those 200 wins, 3,226 total innings, 2,153 Ks, and an above-average 105 ERA+. Heck, he even registered 22 saves. When all is said and done, everyone who watched Tim Wakefield and his unicorn pitch remembers him, and that's more than many Hall of Famers can remotely claim. Perhaps it was fellow iconic Red Sox hurler Pedro Martinez who said it best. I've got a lot of respect for Wake because he goes out on the mound and fights. If he doesn't have good knuckleball, he ain't got bleep, but he fights anyway. Now, thanks for watching the video. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and click this playlist for other essay content just like this. Have a great day, everyone.